Yeah. That is... Yes, that is definitely having little pocket dimension reality nonsense is a thing you could do, Matt. I think, though, let's perhaps take a step away from 5e specifically on this, because... So to answer the first part of your question, in terms of using regional effects, I mean, you've been in my game. I've used them a little bit. And they're fine. They add a little bit of fun. But I think you can kind of ignore, don't think about it the way 5e sets them up. I mean, the way 5e sets up the idea of regional effects is fine as like a training wheels version of the better idea, I think. Which is to say, 5e is like, oh, there's this weird powerful creature in the area and it changes things in some sort of funky magical way, and here's a couple of bullet point ideas, right? And then utilize these ideas when the players are within the layer of the weird thing that's changing around it. Totally fine. Does the job, sure. That's like baby's first steps, though. Really what I think you should be doing is showing how a boss creature, dragon, warlord of the land, weird, crazy lich, whatever, beholder, is influencing the area in totality. Like, really show this creature being here has entirely changed how this area functions, and take it beyond just like some of the, because the regional effects in 5e are fine, but they're very basic, a lot of them. Take it a step further. So, for example, let's say there's a lich that the players are like trying to hunt down, and he lives in this tower on top of this massive hill. I'm kind of stealing from Black Company here. He lives on top of the big like castle on top of this hill, and he has this plan where he's collecting bodies to like do this super evil magic, ritual thing to make himself a mega zombie servant or something. And the players arrive in the town where the lich is, present. Like, the lich is up in the mountain overlooking this town, and all of the people there act a little vacant, like they're sort of zombie-like already, and they're doing stuff that seems a little odd, but, well, I don't know, maybe they just are really depressed or something. And then you find out, oh, a couple of the town's members are digging up graves and selling bodies to somebody, but nobody knows who. Like, really build that influence out into like a full adventures worth of a thing. And that's where I think regional effects go from like a fun little idea to like a big, cool, memorable thing. They're selling the bodies to the lich for his evil plan. He's like draining their life force, so everyone acts in a very peculiar manner. So anytime they try to interact with NPCs in this town, it's really difficult. Also, there's like these patrols of undead that they have to deal with at night that the townspeople don't actually know where they're coming from. Like, really build out like an adventure out of it, if you want it to be a really memorable, powerful boss creature. Get what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and you are literally touching on something I was just about to bring up.
Okay, well,
which is, at least as far as 5e is concerned, I think there's like a tragic lack of use in regional effects, because they do so much work for you.
They're very surface level. Like,
well, I think that's all you need sometimes, right? Because I agree, it is very surface level, totally. But I think that surface level understanding gives you a lot of really interesting ideas to play with that helps you branch off, Well,
that's why I said that's why I said they're training wheels, right? Like,
yeah.
Regional effects are sort of baby's first steps into this idea, but you should expand beyond them, because they're not.
Yes, I agree.
There's more there. There's a lot more potential there.
Yeah.
So the game is giving you a like a jumping off point, I guess.
Yeah,
That's what
because
it put
so every major boss fight I've done in my game, I've used the regional effects, either made them up or just found ones or hodgepodge them together. Not only because I want the like direct area around the fight to be cool, but I've at least for me, it's always helped me extrapolate and set scenes really well, which I think is really important, right? It's like, yes, you're in the cave, and then a red dragon shows up, and you're like.
Like, I didn't even get a hint, didn't see any bones, didn't see any Bard's welcome. Like, come on.
And I think that leads to another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is I think a big part for me of what makes a boss fight interesting is the preparation for the fight. I think a lot of the times when you're playing in games, there's like you sort of get a feel for what's going on, right? Like if you're on a ship and then someone does the Pirates of the Caribbean, like right? You can feel pretty confident that it's either going to be like a Kraken or an Aboleth, right? Like, but that's just sort of you being there because you need to be there, and that's kind of the only context you're getting. But I think something really cool that a lot of people miss out on is the build-up and the strategy because of the build-up, right? Like, if you're in the water and let's say you're sailing from one island to the next, and you start seeing like as you're sailing like corpses kind of floating, and like you can sort of describe how there's seagulls kind of flapping around in circles, and then you see like a corpse and then some driftwood come by, and then it's immediately the players are like, fuck, something's going on here, I don't know, boss, you know. And then you can, depending on what you do, you can help sort of build out, right? If one of the boss fights is like a dragon turtle, you can tell them just as a passing comment, just like a nothing comment, be like, you know, amidst all the driftwood, you see like a small, not even an island, like a little inlet, 50 miles out, basically on the horizon line, and you point it way in front of them, just like leading up the trail. So now they're thinking, okay, either something's at that inlet is something, or we just have to avoid that area. And then the next day comes, and then there's more ships, and the players are like, what the fuck is going on? And the captain's like, oh, well, this is a pretty popular like trade route, so it's not surprising to see ships, it's just surprising to see them in pieces. And then as they're just, you know, as the players are investigating, someone goes, you know, one of the players makes a perception check, and it's like, you see that inlet again, all the way out on the other side of the boat. And then the players are like, okay, either that thing is moving or we're sailing in circles. Both are bad. And then they can start asking, and then it goes around, right? And now you start being like, if it's not a dragon turtle and it's like a Kraken, you can do like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like sort of a pull in the tide. I'm not going to do this whole scenario, but you can allow the players to put the pieces together themselves and start planning accordingly for the fight. Will they do it? Fucking big maybe. You know, they can just be like
solid maybe.
Because a lot of players do this too. It's not all on the DM. A lot of players, when something starts going wrong, the players just buckle themselves in like they're on a roller coaster and brain no worky, and they're just like, well, we're just gonna hit it till it dies, and then that can go terribly for them, or that can go fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think it puts the onus on the players as well to start putting things together, and their preparedness is what can make a fight super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're basically just giving a more specific example of what I was saying, where you're building out an adventure hook essentially from the boss monster itself, as opposed to building an adventure inward and then deciding on a boss at the end. You have a boss idea and then you build out the rest of it from that.
Yes. Yeah. No. Like I said, yes, that is absolutely 100% what I was.
Yeah, that's
why I said you touched on what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, which then becomes, when you think about it, is sort of the more advanced master's degree version of regional effects.
Yes, it's very good. It's also very fun. Just Nothing chaps my cat is usually something I say when something's bad. Nothing gets me going like when one player, nothing rustles my jimmies when a player.
That's also kind of bad though. Anyway,
catches on to something and immediately like, Christ, like, like yes, sow the seeds of panic, yes. For me, it's almost always Ant who's like, fuck,
and then
like,
bonus points if you've sowed the seeds well enough that they figure out a weakness or a strategy or an exploit preemptively before fighting the boss.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
That's,
if it's like, oh, this lady's got 2 little pinpricks on her neck, and someone cuts to somebody immediately just sharpening stakes, like,
nope,
like it's I know what that is. I'm not playing with this. Hey, someone got silver coins. Like, why do you need silver coins? Starts melting down silver and coating swords with it.